Afternoon, VC. Dave here. Man, had a really big past week, so got a lot here to share. Absolutely awesome time. So we'll start right off with the records. Um, so I got this record in the mail, and it's an absolute grail. One I never thought I'd be able to afford, let alone find. Um, and this is from Daniel and the VC from Sweden. This is his group, Blameful Isles. Then It's Not the End. Their first record from 2014. It's a double LP. Split release on Urban Waves Records and Radio Juicy and HHV DE from Germany. Um, Absolutely gorgeous music. Blown away that I was able to find a copy. One popped up in a record store in Austin, Texas for $30. I haven't seen this go for much less than 250 to 200 and some euros. Um, so blown away. Great condition. It's got a song on here, Frida, which I believe is his wife's name. Gorgeous stuff. Highly recommended. I actually don't believe this one's on YouTube, but Pleroma is the most recent album. Start there and work your way back. Gorgeous stuff. Ken from the Jazz Record Center, he checked out the group when I posted this on one of the Facebook groups, and he's like, man, that's some great freaky jazz. So yeah, Blameful Isles. Then It's Not the End. Very really stoked to get that. The next, another big want lister, checked off. Again, Mr. Minko is just coming through left and right. This time he sent me Farrell Sanders' Karma, a stereo copy on Impulse. It is a reissue. It was another great price. This is in fantastic condition. A major one in the Farrell discography that I had just never come across in any form, for some reason. Very popular record from Farrell, very spiritual, fantastic. And yeah, finally, after years, got a hold of that, and very stoked. So we, my friend Joe and I went up to Carborough on Wednesday afternoon and met with a friend at a Mediterranean restaurant that's in town in Chapel Hill. Unbelievable. Like I got 3 full plates of food for $10. Like basically 3 dinners. It's ridiculous. But we were there to see the OCs. And they were at Cat's Cradle, and it's sold out. And we got tickets 6-7 months ago when they immediately went on sale. We jumped on it, thinking it would be a sellout, and it certainly was. I mean, there were people trying to resell their tickets for $80 when we paid like 20. So maybe it was a little more than 20, but I'm still blown away from that gig. I'm gonna definitely put some footage up at the end of here, just like I did with Melvins and Boris. So stick around. For the first part, I knew they were gonna kick off with the heavy stuff, and I wanted to be up front, but I was like, man, I don't know. You could tell it was gonna be one of those crowds. So I stayed at the soundboard where I could see over the crowd for the first part of the gig, and my friend Joe went down front, and he was like, man, I had to elbow my way through the first few songs to survive. It was crazy. And then I went down front uh, and got some great footage for a good portion of the set when it finally calmed down a little bit. It was still pretty rowdy. Um, I actually haven't seen a crowd that rowdy since maybe one of the early Ozfests, in front of like Slipknot and Mudvayne and System of a Down, shit like that. It was pretty intense, but they played everything I wanted to hear. They played stuff off the new album, off Face Stabber. They played a lot of stuff off Orc, and um, yeah, it was a great show. And you know, around here we don't get this opportunity to see them much, so definitely had to take advantage. They brought every single record I think they've ever done for the merch table, including Coach Whips, including another band that the guitar player was in, and they only wanted they wanted 25 for the new record, which I already had it, and 20 for every other record. But my dilemma was the next day I was going to go to Carolina Soul in Durham, so I behaved myself, knowing that most of those records that were new sealed I can get online or at my local. So I behaved myself, but I did get this badass OC's patch, killer. Got to figure out what I'm going to put that on. I think I got a NHRA jacket that might go on, or some kind of jacket. But so I did grab that from the band, and so we ended up staying with our friend Mike. He's a Duke scholar, working his way up to professor. So we stayed with him in Durham, and headed over to Carolina Soul on Thursday around noon, a little after. They open at 11. It's the second time I've been, and it is the Holy Land, and I expected to be blown away just walking in and start looking at the wall like I did last time, and walked in and went through the first wall and was like, huh, there's a lot of kind of new sealed records kind of filtered into the wall, and a lot of rock and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. Looked at the other wall and saw a couple good records that were priced pretty good, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna maybe come back to those, and let me go through the jazz section first. So went through the whole jazz section, and I was like, man, this is, and I found a few things, but I was like, man, this is really picked over, unreal. You know, I was kind of disappointed at first, but the first record I did pull out of the jazz section is Ornette Coleman, Chappaqua Suite. This is on looks like Sony Music. It's a reissue, France pressing actually. It's a double album, gatefold, in great condition. So yeah, this is for a film by Conrad Rooks. Originally put out in '66, so this is I believe a '77 France pressing. Is what it was listed as in the shop, and a big record I needed to get from Ornette, so was really stoked to find this. As it turns out, this had belonged to a Duke professor, the same Duke professor that I last time had picked up 2 free jazz records off the wall there from, which the owner of the shop, he was like, yeah, that was the craziest free jazz collection that's ever come in. And I got the Farrell Sanders Quintet, and I'm trying to remember what else, but a Noah Howard live at Judson Hall, and this also was in her collection. So he was like, yeah, I don't even know how that's still here. I thought you had got the last two last time you were here, so really stoked. And he said, yeah, before you guys got here, two Japanese dealers that come in here regularly, they fly in from Japan, bought $1,500 in cash worth of records. And so that explained why the jazz section was purged and why the walls were purged and had new records thrown into where the holes were. So I was like, oh man, I can't even begin to imagine what those guys yanked out of there. And he's like, yeah, they have a shop in Tokyo. So they were really, you know, because Carolina Soul has really good prices on their records. So those guys racked up, and I was like, oh shit. So, went to start looking some more, and my buddy's finding some stuff to listen to check out, and saw African guy rolls in a dolly with a big stack of records on it into the shop for trade, and he was trading in for cash, and he's like, I'm gonna wait. So he sat down to wait while the dude went through the records he brought in, and overheard him go, I'm gonna give you 260 for this stack, another 30 for this stack, and 10 for this stack, 300 cash. Is that good? And the guy's like, that's fine. The guy took his 300 cash, rolled out of there, and my friend Joe was up at the listening station and saw some of what was in the stack and came to me and was like, hey man, there's some stuff in there. I was like, all right, well, that's cool. And you know, ended up going back to the guy later to talk about it, but in the meantime they were playing this in the store, and I asked him what was playing, and he said it's Kalita and Super Yamba Band, and it's on the wall. And went and found it. Name of the record is Madea Ho, and I mean, look at this cover. And it's Afrobeat. Really, really great stuff. This is from this year on Ubiquity, and I mean, look at this dude. He's playing the guitar, shredding amongst two cans. Yeah, no brainer. Great stuff. That's the second time we've gone there, and whatever they were playing in there, we ended up buying. Last time was a Herbie Hancock with Stanley Turrentine live. That's really good. So I went back to the jazz section, and there were a few that I was hesitant on, and I ended up picking them up. This one here, Lester Bowie, Fast Last on Muse Records. It was a radio station copy, and so it has the writing on it, but it was really cheap, so I went ahead and got it. It's a white label promo, which I don't think I have any Muse promos. I might, but yeah, don't see those very often, so was happy to grab that. Record's in great shape. Great lineup on here, and you've got Lester Bowie on trumpet, Julius Hemphill on the alto, Joseph Bowie on trombone, you got John Hicks on piano, Cecil McBee on bass, Philip Wilson on the drums. Always try to grab any Muse titles when I see them, and so yeah, happy to pick that up. And then this one also I grabbed out of the jazz section, and not one I've ever seen, so was happy to grab it. David Murray Quartet with Butch Morris on the trumpet, who I really dig. And this is Last of the Hitmen. This is an Italy pressing on Red Record. Not something you see every day. So I was happy to grab this. You got Johnny Diani on bass, very underrated player. He's killer. And George Brown on drums and percussion. This was from, I believe, '78, if I'm not mistaken. Great stuff. Very happy to find that. I don't have any other records on that label. And so I went, after that, I went back over to the wall and picked this up. This was one I didn't expect to see in there. Very, very happy to get this. This is Brian Eno, Ambient 1, Music for Airports. This is an original UK pressing with the original insert, the whole nine. I believe '78 was in this, came out. Really, really excited to have this. Beautiful, beautiful ambient record. I had already picked up a reissue of On Land, which I really love. Fantastic ambient music. So this one was a big time score here, so happy to grab it. Set that down. And so when I was done looking, I went up to the guy and I was like, so what was in that stack the guy brought in? And he goes, well, there were 3 original Fela records. And I was like, okay, let's see them. And so there was some haggling back and forth. And so my friend Joe ended up getting an original of Zombie. Absolutely pristine condition. I mean, the record is flawless. The cover is flawless except for one tiny cut corner in the bottom right. I couldn't believe it. And he caught that for a sick deal. And then I think he had Shakira. It was really beat up cover. Seam split on the top. The record was okay. And he wanted that one for himself, the shop owner. And then I got the other, which is an original U.S. pressing of Fela Ransom Kuti and the Africa 70 with Ginger Baker, who recently passed. This is the live album, original from '71. This is on, what's this label? I don't have anything else on this label, on Signpost. And it plays fine. Covers a little bit beat, cut corner, but you don't see these every day. And this is maybe my favorite Fela record. It's up there with expensive shit, and I still can't believe our timing with that guy that came in. So he brought in 3 Fela records and they went right back out the door. So I was ready to tuck and run after the prices we got on those, which was unbelievably low. So my friend was still going through the listening station with some more, and I ended up finding this in the 7-inch stack. And this was a group that I recently got turned on to, so was happy to grab it. It's a Kibby Shakedown, Assassin on the Coal Mine Records label. So that's on the A side, I believe, and on the B side is View from Above. In the vein of Menahan Street Band out of New York. Great instrumental group in the soul end of things, and you can't go to Carolina Soul without getting some soul. So I was very happy to grab that as well. And so yeah, stick around for some footage of OCs. It's unreal. Peace.